And oh my God, it actually started. That's a miracle. Miracle, miracle. Damn. All right. Let's see if we can't do this. Enter text for chat. HOWD. Howdy. Send. Now, share it out to Twitterville. Hey, why not? Woo-hoo-hoo. Look at there. All right. I'm going to be sharing a video later that I took. Howdy. Not sure who you are, but glad you could make it. Sorry about being backlit this way. It's not as if the Red Door Studio is truly a studio or all that big. It is just a small little space. Oh, hey, no problem. Don't worry about it. If you're watching Simon, watch Simon. Definitely a good channel. If y'all get bored watching Simon, y'all can come back over here and watch me. That's fine. I barely finally got able to sit down and smoke a pipe this morning. I've been up and running, seems like since midnight. Howdy, TX. Hey, did I see your video? I think I saw your video. Out there on my YouTube feeds. Well, I'm not trying to bogart on anybody. I'm not trying to pull viewers from Simon. That's for damn sure. I'm just bored and cold. But I got a pipe and I've got a cup of coffee. I got a cup of coffee that's actually still too damn hot to drink. TX, I definitely agree with you. Getting in there, putting a few out there. What's it gonna hurt? I switched to live feeds because, quite honestly, it takes forever for videos to upload from here onto a system and then finally out to the world. I made a 40-minute video when the first system I was using shut down, and it would take 4.5, 5 hours for it to upload so that people could actually watch it. Pretty frustrating. Plus, have they met me? Cutting me off at 40 minutes or 43 minutes and 50 something seconds, I believe that's what it was. Saying, hey, you're done. I could be right in the middle of something. They just tell you, hey, you're done. Yeah, the Prism app is actually working fairly well. So, howdy, Todd. Glad to see you in today. Now, look, I know everybody out there right now pretty much is in a colder climate than I am. I am happy to report that I am above freezing. I am unhappy to report that there are over 12 million people in Texas without power today. Good portion of this state is now having to boil their own water. Now, here's the problem with this. Here's the problem I have. Millionaires and billionaires who own these companies, they don't want to spend any infrastructure dollars on stuff that's only going to matter maybe 5 or 6 times in a decade. The problem is, as TX just pointed out, when you start losing power, it becomes an issue. And I'm going to give an example of that. I technically live in Galveston County. I can walk to the county border between Harris County, which is Houston, Galveston County, which is Galveston, and Brazoria County, which is, right to the same spot where they all exist. I can walk to that spot from this location. It's not that far. So yes, I live technically in Galveston County. But if somebody were to ask where I live, I actually live closer to Houston than Galveston by about 6 miles. And see, Boris, that's part of the problem, is they're heating their homes with electric power. There's some that are able to heat their homes with gas because they have that set up. But a lot more of Texas heats their home with electricity. And some of them out there in the country, they actually use propane. And those with propane are probably still okay. But you got to remember, you get out there in the country far enough, and it could be weeks before you get power back on. Well, everything in your fridge is going to be destroyed unless you're smart enough to take it outside. Hello, it's cold. If it's perishable, you take it outside. You bring it back in before it truly freezes solid. But stuff outside for a little bit just to get off. And TX, yeah, you be careful. Just remember, be safe. Be very, very safe. It's more important that you're safe than it is that you're watching these videos. Some people will remember I did a video back in the summertime that showed a solar powered flashlight that also has a crank and has a ability to be charged via USB. That particular model, the Torch 250, is no longer available on market as far as I can understand. But there is a lantern that the same company makes that it's like Lantern Power Station 600 or something like that. I don't remember. Anyways, by a company called Goal Zero. In these situations where you're trying to think, hey, you know, I've got to save power because I can't charge anything, with the fact that it can be charged ahead of time and it can charge other items and you can hand crank it to charge it, and you can use a solar panel to charge it. There's a lot of ways to make sure to keep it running and keep you in touch with the world. Anyways, that company is called Goal Zero, GOAL ZERO. Please, everybody who's remembering, hey, we were out of power, this, that, the other, y'all remember that stuff when you start getting to your own situations where it could be they're cutting power on you and you don't have any way to do any of this stuff. That could be the difference between being able to make a phone call or a text to get out, or being stuck there with truly no power. Now, for those of you who are having to boil water, get yourself one of those whistling teapots and some sort of a gas stove, whether it be a camp stove or a barbecue or something like that, something that you can actually use in a situation such as this. Be careful of what you have for a gas range top. Some of the newer ones actually have modifications in them that will shut down the ability to have the gas flow if there's no electricity to light the spark. Kind of a issue there is the fact that, well, what do you do if the gas won't flow? But you got matches, you could easily light the flame so you could boil your own water, but you can't. So you got to kind of think about that also. Just remember outdoor camping equipment or a small fire ring and the ability to boil water in a pot can still keep you from having to drink contaminated water. Just don't do that inside in your house. Remember, if you do not have adequate ventilation, do not use propane or butane or any other kind of AIN fuels, natural gas or otherwise, to be able to move that around in your house. You can create enough carbon monoxide, it can kill you. Kind of some dangerous things. I can't tell if it's actually lit or just kind of smoldering. Oh well, where there's smoke, there's smoke. Now, the other day I said something about I would remember what my stupid water pitcher with the really expensive filters is. I looked at it real hard this morning as I boiled my own water so that I could then transfer it into a large glass pitcher so it could cool off long enough for me to transfer it into my zero water pitcher. That is spelled it out for you. Zero water. Now, the zero water pitchers do really good at filtration of all those particulates. So first thing I do is I fill up the whistling tea kettle, because the whistling tea kettle, when it's finally whistling, it's actually killed off by that point in time every one of those little possible viruses and amoebas and stuff like that that could cause you to have real bad situations. It has to do with how hot the water gets to be able to turn the steam into that whistling sound that you will be getting. It'll be truly overboiling, but that's because the way the pressure forms. I could go into the long situation. Let's just state it, statement of fact. You boil it through that. You pour it in something so it can cool off. You take from that pitcher that's been for cooling off, you pour it into the zero water pitcher. It filters out all the other stuff that's not getting filtered out right now. You'll have drinkable water. Seems like a long way to do things, but remember, it's not just bacteria and stuff in your water that you're trying to get out of there. You're also trying to get lead and various other things that can be filtered out just as easily through, like I said, through some high grade filters. And the problem with the zero water filter is it actually purifies too damn much. It takes all the minerals out. It takes all of that other stuff out. Problem is, when you take all of that other stuff out, what happens is when you put water in, it will attach to all the minerals in your body, and as you go to the bathroom later, go and pee, it will actually flush those minerals right back out of your system. Continued use of the zero water pitcher for drinking water is bad, but if you're making coffee and tea, plenty good. And if you're using it to cook, also plenty good. Remember, you're putting the minerals back in by everything that water touches. There's not enough minerals on the sides of a drinking glass to actually put those minerals back in. So you got to add something back to that water if you're using it for just plain straight drinking water. All right, lecture over. I'm sorry. I kind of had to get all that out just because it's kind of the important information. Anybody who's still here after this, well, let's just get into chatting and talking, being friends again. I promise to not lecture if we're not on a subject that I am not lecturing on. That's interesting. I've got two different long sleeve shirts on. Can you tell? One's black, one's green. Howdy, Martin. Glad to see you. Hey, any news yet on whether your guy's comment actually showed up yet or not? Craziness. YouTube is screwing people over left, right, and sideways. They'll let you talk about roofies, but they won't let you talk about Dell power supplies. So what do we got coming up today? We've got Eddie Gray and the Nashville Mafia. For Boris to say something was a little bit chilly means most of us would be walking around thinking we got turned into an icicle. I don't even want to know how chilly it was, Boris. You are allowed to cold shame me any amount that you want, and I won't even invite you to Houston in the middle of August just to be mad at you. Too cold for that. (5 degrees Fahrenheit). Jeez. That is as cold as Houston, Texas has ever been, as ever recorded. They got recordings back a few years, so I'm not just saying that that's just like, oh yeah, that's a decade or so. No, that's into the 1800s somewhere. Gotta remember, once in a while, Mother Nature goes real cold. Mother Nature gets real nasty during the summer, and they tend to be on the same year. Y'all remember earlier this year as Louisiana and Georgia and Mississippi were getting just slaughtered by hurricane after hurricane? I started warning people it's going to be cold. Make sure to get yourself some warm supplies for this situation. A bunch of people didn't listen to me. Oh, don't worry about it. Hey, look, if any of y'all got a channel that y'all want to plug, get in here and plug it. This is tailgating. There's no real rules here. I'm not canceling. Now look, if you're a troll and you just want to act like a dumbass, just believe that I'm going to really be mean. But if you're just wanting to plug a channel or something, hell, there were some lesbians or bisexuals or homosexuals or whatever. They came on one of my feeds and said all about how certain people were looking for me. Just ask Boca from Boynton. He saw it. And God, I'm going to tell you, I hope I win any portion of Boca's GAW. I'm not sure. Didn't he say it was like supposed to be today that it goes over? Or maybe that was yesterday that it was over? Hell, I don't remember. Oh, well, if he was commenting about the crap that Dell was doing, shoot, let him run. If he was trying to comment like I do about, the stuff you were doing, offer him a glass of something. Bill Cosby him. And yes, I fully expect that it is possible Martin's over here trying to make another soundbite for his show of me talking smack and maybe saying something that would get me in trouble, but nothing ever gets me in trouble, so whatever. Oh, he was a troll. Okay. I agree with you, Todd. They don't have to watch. They don't have to be in here if they don't like it. I mean, there was Mr. Mushroom, who he didn't much care for he didn't much care for my stance on firearms. When I told him that as a country the Irish had given up their freedoms, he said, "No, we're free." And I said, "But are you free to own a firearm?" And he was like, "No." And well, there you go. It wasn't me that gave them up. Oh, I love being able to point out to people when they are definitely 100% wrong. I'll let them go for a little bit if they at least have some sort of value. Not saying that everybody gets let go that way. Oh, that's even better. Yeah. I've got plenty of those. I'm going to relay a real quick story here. So, I live here in the Houston area. And there's this one guy that gets on all the sports talk radio stations. I am not going to give his Twitter handle out, but I found him on Twitter. Woo! Hey, even better is if you show up on his Twitter handle and you blast those screenshots so that he knows that you have them. Because then all he can do is delete his thing or block you. What's he going to do? Block you? Yep. Sorry. That just proves you won. So anyways, there's this guy. He gets on all the radio stations and he likes to talk sports. And he's really, I'm going to tell you, he is a fantastic follow as far as sports. It's when he goes off on his political rants that I was like, you're off, dude. You're definitely off. Well, he didn't like my statement. And then because I don't hide that I'm a white guy, okay, I'm a white guy. I guess the proper term is Caucasian. That's my skin color. I can't really help that. My dad and mom are both paler than I am. Never mattered to me. Never mattered to me when I lived in Plano and was just a kid. Never mattered to me when I moved to Kingsville, Texas, and I was like one of 3 white guys. Hell, one of 3 white people in my whole entire 5th grade class when we moved from there up to Friendswood, which is where I'm at now. Don't worry, been here a while. So I understand, minorities and how things work. Well, I invited this guy who says he drinks bourbon and smokes cigars. So from his statements, he drinks bourbon and smokes cigars. Well, I love bourbon and I love cigars. So I invited him to a local cigar shop to drink my bourbon and smoke my cigars, and we could have a face-to-face just conversation. We could hash this out, all of our differences right there on the table, no problem. I am willing to talk to anybody. And his comment was, he does not have time to hang out with white people because they're all racist. Well, the shop I asked him to come to, and I told him specifically Thursdays and Friday nights are going to be the best because large group of people, obviously nobody's having any issues with anybody. And what he didn't know is that about 50% of the people that were going to be there are going to be people of color, sometimes referred to as black or African American. And these are my friends. What I really wanted him to do was to tell me that I'm racist in front of my friends, so that my friends, being that about 75% of my friends are people of color, could look at him and go, you don't know this cat. You obviously don't know this cat. He's not going to put up with anybody who's racist. If a white guy was in there and talking racist smack, I'd be the first one to be like, you're out of here. You need to go. We don't need that crap in here. But there he went and makes his racist comment about how he's not going to talk or sit around with white people because we're all racist. So I screenshot it and I started shooting it out to everybody he wanted to talk to. And I said, hey, look, dude, you're racist. Here's your proof. These are your statements. These are not mine. This is the statement after I invited you to come drink my bourbon and smoke my cigars and hang out with my friends, where I also guaranteed 100% you are going to be safe. Nobody's going to do anything to you. He ended up blocking me. Maybe it's because, well, judging a person by the color of their skins instead of the content of their character is racist. That's textbook definition. Yes, there are a lot of white people that are racist. I will agree with that statement. Sure, no problem. But there's a lot of people of every nationality-based, quote-unquote, race that are also racist. It's not just white people. And I'm not talking just black. I mean, there's Chinese, Japanese, various different Asian races. There are tons of religious slash racisms. If you get into the Middle East, you will see it pretty clearly. Happens all the time. And my statement is always, look, till you know me well enough to judge me, don't tell me I'm a racist, because all I'm going to do is prove that you are and I'm not. I have friends that are Muslim. I don't believe in their religion, but that's okay. They treat me well, I treat them well. And that should be what we try to do as humans. And instead of believing in alternate races, we should start saying we are humans, all of one race. That would clear up a lot of this racism thing. And at least that's what I believe. Y'all can believe any way you want to. Sorry, rant over. Oh, Martin, I do believe that you are definitely hitting on a sore subject, and I do believe that somebody should be speaking out about the way things are going right now. I mean, it's not like you're talking about election fraud. There might be reason to talk about that, but that seems to be a sore subject for half of America. Just remember, I do not accept Americans doing the hashtag not my president. Because you're basically saying hashtag not an American. If so, you really don't have any reason to talk about American politics. Oh, and you who are Americans, if you find yourself wandering off to talk about foreign country politics, just stop. Unless you are a national of that particular nation, don't talk about it. Not unless they decide they want to come over here and start talking about it first. Now, if you're just defending your own American politics belief against somebody of a foreign national, go for it. That's on the person from a foreign nation that decided to talk smack in the first place. I mean, if they're just making jokes, get them to at least admit they were just making jokes. And as I will tell anybody, there's right and wrong with every nation in this planet. I just happen to believe that the method of government from the nation of the United States of America happens to be the best one for me personally. Maybe I'm wrong. Ooh, come on now. Hey, Martin, did you hear that Donald Trump called Nancy Pelosi? When she picked up the phone, he said, "This is Owen." She said, "Owen who?" And he said, "No, Owen 2." I'm fairly certain we will not hear that one on Friday. But it was funny when I saw it. So as far as impeachment goes, y'all will remember I made this statement when they impeached him the first time. I made this statement when they decided they were going to impeach him the second time. What they've basically done is say, we love Trump. And we're going to prove it by rolling a big pile of money out in the middle of the floor, setting it on fire. Here's the issue. Anything that was brought up during either one of those impeachment trials is no longer able to be used in any form of civil court to sue Trump at all. Because it's called double jeopardy. You're not allowed to have double jeopardy. That's in the Constitution. He was acquitted for it, and therefore it's dropped permanently from any possible way. It's done. And let's see, how much money did they spend on an impeachment trial? I believe the first one ran for about $1 billion. The second one was faster, but you know what? It involved more people, so they ran it for another $1 billion. $2 billion. 330 million Americans. Okay, so 330 million Americans divide 2 billion, that's with a B, not million, but $1 billion. Divide that across 330 million people. Tell me what kind of a large pile of cash should be coming your way as an American taxpayer. Including all of the senators and congresspeople and, oh my God, ridiculous amounts. Every baby, every citizen, every one of them should be getting a cut of $2 billion just by saying, well, we don't have the ability to actually impeach him. Let's not do this, and let's not waste the taxpayers' money. Oh no, we're not going to see that money. We're not going to see that money at all. But go ahead, you do the math at home. You think about it. Would your life change if you got your cut 1/330 millionth of $2 billion? Now, as far as those watchers in foreign countries, y'all are allowed to talk about whether y'all would have loved to have been able to get some of that kind of cash. Because I guarantee that would be life-changing for just about everybody on the planet, just to have that amount of cash dropped off at your house. But no, all they did was throw it in the middle of the floor and set it on fire because they knew it wasn't going to go anywhere when it started. And now they can't try Trump for nothing because they've used up all their bullets, and then he was acquitted. Oh well. I tell you what, if Donald Trump runs again, it's because he's done something else illegal that he feels that he will be able to pass through the next impeachment, and therefore won't be able to be tried by that either. That's the only reason Donald Trump will run for president again. But I'm betting too many people are going to be watching him for the rest of his damn life. And the other thing, we're going to impeach a private citizen. Just remember, every other previous president can now be impeached for anything. All they've got to do is be able to, I'm going to say this just because it's going to sound crazy. All they have to do is trump up some charges and get somebody impeached for anything. Any president, any member of Congress, anything at all. That's all they got to do is trump up some charges and do it. Todd, I believe you have it correct. Congress is really good when they're sending money to foreign countries for gender studies. Really? Why are taxpayers' dollars going to foreign countries for gender studies? We got multiple trillions of dollars in debt. And yet we're just cutting a bigger check. Like, hey, don't worry about it. We're America. Nobody's ever going to call this bill in. Truth be told, probabilities are nobody's ever going to call the bill in anyways. Be a bad way to start a war. Or a quick way to start a war. I don't think anybody really wants to war with... Okay, so the big three. Russia, China, America. You don't really want a war with any of them. And none of the world wants a war that involves Russia or America, or Russia versus America, or nobody wants a war where it's China versus America, or nobody wants a war where it's China versus Russia. Those three situations, basically, you go ahead and write the whole world off because there ain't going to be a human left alive by the time it's over. Too dangerous. Way too dangerous. Yeah, maybe I'm just talking crap, but think about it. Those are the three biggest hitters on the planet. Any two of them get in a war with each other, it could drag too much of the rest of this world into it too. Really, the worst thing that could possibly happen right now, as far as what I'm seeing as possibilities, is that America goes to war with itself. Part of the reason why I tell every American on the planet, get yourself a gun, get licensed, get trained, get everything you can out of it. Do what you have to do. They don't want to come to the Red Door studio asking. Then yeah, the government knows me. They know for a fact. They didn't train me to shoot. They just taught me to shoot people. Sounds like incitement. No, I'm not incited. I just have foresight. Because I've studied history, and normally any government that's willing to take away the guns is also willing to take away anything else. When the government is afraid of its people, they do what needs to be done and nothing more. When the government has people that are afraid of them, they do whatever the hell they want. Because there ain't no way to stop them. Go back to the Nazi regime of Germany. One of the first things they did upon taking over was they convinced the whole population that it was better for the safety of the kids to register and unarm all of the population. That sounds like something familiar that I've just recently heard on the damn news. And this was said in a Marvel movie. You got to remember, the first nation that the Nazis actually invaded was Germany. Couple of Holocaust museums for anybody who doesn't like that statement that they need to go and visit. Not the happiest thought on the planet. Hey, but don't worry. Go watch Enemy at the Gates with Jude Law and Harris. I forgot his first name. Is it Ed Harris? Communism came out in full force during that. If you were paying attention at the very beginning, you will run forward with either a magazine or a clip of ammo, and the other person will run forward with a rifle. When the person who's got the rifle falls down, you will pick up the rifle and you will jam your clip in there and you will continue forward. And if you turn around and run backwards because the enemy is overpowering you, we'll shoot you ourselves. What? Oh yeah, that's definitely the kind of government I want to live in. No. Well, hey, you know what? I've been on here almost an hour. I like to keep these down to an hour. Here I've been ranting and stamping my own little sound out and beating my own drum. And look, I'm apologetic. If you don't like it, that's fine. I don't expect everybody to like it. Todd, I agree with you wholeheartedly. It is not just funny, it's absolutely asinine. In debt up to our ears, but we're going to send millions to other countries. And for stuff that literally does not do any good for anybody. Gender studies. You know what? Turn your head and cough. Yep, you're a man. Turn your head and cough. You don't have nothing down there. Sorry, I guess you're a woman. Science has already proven there's, an X chromosome and a Y chromosome. You either have one or the other. If you have both, you're a hermaphrodite. I guess at that point you get to choose. But other than that, I mean, all sexual orientation past that is actually a choice that you make on your own. Don't tell me you were born that way and can't change. No, you chose to be that way and don't want to change. I didn't say you have to change. I didn't say you should want to change. But don't tell me you were born that way. Hey, what do I know? I'm just a thug. Mean, ornery guy that has his opinions on almost everything. And if I don't wear the glasses, I'm nearsighted enough I can't see. Whatever. Anyhow, I'm going to be getting out of here. I see we're down to 2 people. We got all the way up to 4, but it was fun. Glad to see y'all could come by. Please take care of yourselves. Take care of each other. As always, know that I'm here with you. Long lives, big bowls, and long ashes. Y'all take care. And I will see you soon. Remember, Eddie Gray tonight and the Nashville Mafia also. And hopefully we'll be able to see y'all all there. Talk to y'all later. Bye now.